It only takes 1 second. 1 second, and it's over. Thinking about what we lost.
So I could live.
The people that we were, the world that we knew is dead. God damn you, Chris!
Rick, you can't just be the good guy and expect to live. People out there are always looking for an angle.
Things changed, John.
I've changed too.
We all can change.
You're not a monster, Silas.
You sure about that?
You deserve better.
What do you want?
Any place is safe, it's not. We keep searching for something that doesn't exist.
It ain't hard, man. The right choice is the one that keeps us alive.
The war was for nothing. Every person who died for nothing. Carl died for nothing.
No, Nick!
This is my suicide note.
If I don't make it back, I won't stop. I'm getting there. I'm getting home.
The Walking Dead is truly the greatest show I have ever experienced in my life. I wish I could go back and rewatch it for the first time all over again. However, its declining quality and diminishing viewership have left the franchise in somewhat of a limbo in recent years. A far cry from the show's former glory, at one point it looked poised to dominate our TV screens for decades to come. And in 2015, it looked as though they were finally taking that leap with the release of Fear the Walking Dead. However, this never truly happened. So let's delve into how the Walking Dead universe failed. Now, I would like to start off the video addressing the fact that at the time of this recording, The Walking Dead still has 2 active spin-off series still coming out, that being Dead City Season 2 and The Daryl Dixon Show. But with Jeffrey Dean Morgan all but confirming that there will be no Season 2 of The Ones Who Live, this more than likely implies that after The Daryl Dixon Show Season 3 releases, it could very well be the last time we see these beloved characters, at least for a good while. So, let's get on to my first point, which is fragmented storytelling. One thing that I believe really hindered the world building ability in The Walking Dead is the inconsistent tone and quality within most of the spin-off series, such as Fear the Walking Dead and The Walking Dead World Beyond, with these series being light-hearted in some parts, harrowing in other parts, and outright feeling like a teen drama in some portions of the seasons. The significant and constant shift in tone mean viewers find it hard to engage across multiple series, as they all feel different but not in a unique, refreshing way, but rather a how on earth is this linked to the Walking Dead universe way. Take episode 2 from Tales of the Walking Dead, where we follow Blair and Gina in an almost supernatural Groundhog Day episode, which I don't even think the writers knew if they wanted this episode to be canon or not. It's just small instances like this that make the world feel a bit unserious and confusing, and then there's the shift in quality from show to show. The Walking Dead main show is a cinematic masterpiece that is engaging throughout, and although fans bash the later seasons, other than a couple of CGI deer, the acting, effects and storyline of the show do remain at an extremely high level. And Fear the Walking Dead mostly mirrors the main show extremely well. Seasons 1 to 4 are up to standard of the main show, however some shaky later seasons cause fans to lose interest. But by far the biggest culprit is The Walking Dead World Beyond, which fans actively hated and falls well below the expected quality levels of the franchise. Having a show like this does the world building aspect irreplaceable damage, and it's these lower quality cringy spin-off shows that fans just don't enjoy. I mean, World Beyond is rated 4.5 out of 10 on IMDb, and Tales of the Walking Dead is rated just 5.9. These are actively driving fans away from the franchise. They are massively under the quality of the main show, and it felt like they were just a quick cash grab rather than a well thought out spin-off intended to expand and flesh out the world. Now, the same can't be said for all spin-offs. The Ones Who Live, Dead City and Daryl Dixon, they are all massive step-ups in quality, but at this point it's looking like a fact of too little too late, as most of the main show fans just aren't interested anymore, as they've already stepped away from the franchise. Now, for various reasons, multiple promising characters that could have spearheaded a new age of the show have been killed off, and the main factor for that being Carl Grimes' death. Now, the death of Carl sent ripples through not just the main show but the spin-off shows as well, as it made Scott Gimple the main showrunner, and his first decision was to fire Dave Erickson, who was the showrunner for Fear the Walking Dead. So not only did we lose Carl Grimes, but this meant we also lost Nick Clark, a fan favourite from Fear the Walking Dead, as the actor Frank Delane no longer liked the direction the story was heading in, so he asked to be written out of the show. Nick and Carl were the future of these two shows in my opinion, as they were young and they were characters that the younger generation could relate to. On top of this, we lost other young promising characters such as Henry, Enid and Troy, and there's many more I've left off this list. And I think these shows started killing off characters for shock value without really thinking about the consequences and how it would affect the future of the franchise. These are all talented young actors who the show could use for years to come. Understandably, after 14 years, Andrew Lincoln doesn't want to commit to being Rick Grimes full time again, as he wants to be closer to his family in the UK and find other roles. And it's a similar story for most of the older cast in the show, as they have played their roles for years now and they are looking for a change, such as Denai Guerrero, who plays Michonne. And instead of relying on these actors to keep coming back, mostly due to fan service and them not truly wanting to commit to a full-time role in any long-term contract, the show should have developed the younger characters I mentioned before and have them be the face of the new generation of The Walking Dead, as although losing the main characters such as Rick and Michonne would be a gigantic loss. For example, having Carl Grimes still alive would feel familiar and make the change less dramatic for the audience. The constant timelines of the different series lead to a confusion of chronological order, and due to a lack of overlapping characters, it's hard for the audience to know exactly what's happening. For example, Dead City takes place 6 years after the final season of the show, whilst the main show covers 13.5 years, with the first 3 seasons of Fear the Walking Dead covering the time period leading up to the main show. If that sounds confusing, that's because it is, and fans are constantly arguing over the events of timelines from the series. The handling of time jumps and character arcs across the different series can at times be inconsistent, which further complicates the cohesion of the universe and the world building skills. It makes the audience question what on earth is going on, and often due to other Walking Dead media featuring other characters in the future, it takes out the suspense of survival for those specific characters, as you already know they're going to survive. And not to mention the countless plot points that still haven't been answered to this day, such as where is Negan's wife, who took Heath, and what does the PPP card stand for. All of this adds up to an unsatisfying and confusing timeline. Now, in fairness to The Walking Dead, the title of this video is slightly misleading, as the franchise hasn't actually failed at all. In fact, you could argue it's vastly successful to even have multiple spin-offs, but the franchise is a shell of its former self. The peak of The Walking Dead was in 2015. They had just released season 6 of the main show and season 1 of Fear the Walking Dead, and fans couldn't get enough of the media they were pumping out. It was such a promising time. The writers were really starting to build an immersive Walking Dead universe, and it was an exciting time to be a fan. I remember watching Fear the Walking Dead and all the fan theories of Madison Clark being related to Rick Grimes and how the shows could cross over. It was genuinely an amazing time to be a Walking Dead fan. But in fairness to the Walking Dead franchise, I do think they got extremely unlucky with timings, such as Cliff Curtis, who played Travis from Fear the Walking Dead. He was an amazing character, but the writers were forced to kill him off due to him starring in the upcoming Avatar movie. Andrew Lincoln, who of course plays Rick Grimes, wanting to go back to the UK, so having to write a show without your main character, and also not to mention the global pandemic, which affected the filming process of the later seasons of the main show. I think all this culminated in an extremely unlucky circumstances for the franchise. But it's not all doom and gloom. The Ones Who Live, although extremely rushed, gave us vintage Rick Grimes and Michonne, and was not just a step, but a leap in the right direction. And promising reviews for the Daryl Dixon Show and Dead City spin-offs could breathe life back into the franchise. And fingers crossed, the universe and the future of the franchise can start pointing back in the right direction, or at least at the very minimum, give us a proper send-off for the characters we have all grown to love, with the most realistic option being the Daryl Dixon Show Season 3, as we know at least Carol is returning. We will just be hoping for the Daryl Dixon and Rick Grimes reunion we've all been dreaming of. But to wrap it all up for today, I think the failure of the Walking Dead universe comes down to a couple of fatal errors made by the writing team, some poor behind the scene decisions, a confusing timeline, and factors out of the control of the franchise. But let me know what you guys think down below in the comments. As I mentioned before, The Walking Dead is my absolute favourite show of all time, so I'm praying that they can get back on track. But thank you so much for watching today's video and all the support I've been getting recently. If you enjoyed today's video, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.